Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. In this video, we're going to show you how to change out the Maytag dishwasher, impeller, and seal kit. It's going to be a very easy repair, and it should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the seal installation tool, the pump seal, the impeller screw with O-ring, the 3 pump O-rings, the motor shaft seal, the wash impeller, and the drain impeller. The impeller and seal kit contains everything you need to rebuild the pump. The main reason to be changing it out is if the impellers have gone bad and the dishwasher is not washing or draining, or the seals have gone bad and you're getting water leaking on the floor. In order to get to the part, we have to open up the dishwasher door. Now that we have the door open, you can reach in and pull the lower dish rack out. Once you have the lower dish rack all the way out, you can lift it off the door and set it aside. Now that we have the dish rack out, we can take everything off the top of the pump. First thing we're going to do is unscrew the nut that holds the spray arm down. Once you have the nut off, you can lift the spray arm off and set it aside. With the spray arm out of the way, we can reach in and pull the nozzle off. Just have to lift it off and set it aside. We're going to use the Torque 20 driver to take out the screws that hold the filter on. Once you have all the screws out, you can reach in and lift the filter off. Once you have it out, you can set it aside. Now that we have the external filter out, we can reach in and remove the internal one. All you have to do is lift it out of its ring. And then we can grab the X arm and lift that off and set it aside. Now we can remove the nut that holds the spray arm support on. We're just going to reach in with a needle nose pliers and break it free. Once you have it free, you can just unscrew it by hand and lift the spray arm support and the nut off together. Now we're going to use the 5/16 inch nut driver to remove the 3 screws that hold the pump cover on. Now that we have all the screws out, we can lift the cover off. Now we can take out the wash impeller. It's held in by a screw with some thread locker on it, so that'll make it a little bit tighter than normal. But they do get corroded sometimes, so you want to be careful. You don't want to damage the screw and get it stuck into the motor shaft. We're going to use a 5/16 inch nut driver to take out the screw, and we're going to use a flathead screwdriver to hold the impeller. Just comes out counterclockwise. Once you have the screw out, you can use the screwdriver to help lift the wash impeller off. Once you have it off, you can pull it out of the dishwasher. Now we can lift out the 2 pump plates. Just lift them out and set them aside. Now that we have the plates out of the way, we can lift the cutter off and set it aside. And we're going to use the Torque 20 driver to take out all the screws that hold the gray plate in. Once you have all the screws out, we can reach in and lift the plate out. Now we can take off the O-ring for the drain impeller. It's just kind of pushed onto the top of the impeller right here. We're just going to use a flathead screwdriver to pop it up. Once you have the O-ring off, you can pull it out. Now that we have the O-ring out, we're going to put a little bit of penetrating oil around the impeller and the shaft just to help break it free if it's corroded on there. Once you let that set in a little bit, we're going to take a screwdriver and just carefully go around the impeller and try to break it free and work it up the shaft. Once you have it free, you can pull it out of the dishwasher. Once you have the impeller out, if your seal came out of the impeller like ours did, you can lift it out. This is actually part of the impeller. So you can just pull that out, set it aside. And then we can take out the main seal. We're just going to carefully reach in with a small flathead screwdriver and break it free. And be careful you don't damage the pump housing while you're lifting it out. Once you have it free, you lift it off the shaft and pull it out of the dishwasher. Now that we have the pump taken apart, we're going to close the dishwasher door so we can go down below and take off the access panels. We're going to use our 1/4-inch nut driver to take out the screws. Once you have all 4 screws out, you can pull the panels off and set them aside. Now that we have the access panels off, we can get to the pump underneath. Our model doesn't have it, but there's a sensor that mounts right here with a screw that goes here and here. So if you have that sensor, you're going to have to pull it down and take the O-ring off. We do have the O-ring that goes on the thermostat, so we're going to use our ratchet with the 1/4-inch nut driver and an extension to take out the screws that hold the thermostat in. Once you have both screws out, you can drop the thermostat down a little bit. We're not going to even take it out. We're just going to take the O-ring off and then set the thermostat aside until we put the new O-ring on it. Once you have the O-ring off, you can pull it out of the dishwasher. Here's the old impeller and seals next to the new impeller and seal kit. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at appliancepartspros.com. We do have to take the seal out of the housing, so we're just going to take a small flathead screwdriver and lift it out of the channel. Once you have it loose, you can just pull it out. To put the new one in, you just want to lay it into place and work it around in the opening. You don't want to twist it. It's a square seal, so you want to make sure you just get it into the groove, and then we can take the small screwdriver and push it all the way down in to make sure it's seated properly. You just want to push it down with a screwdriver. You want to be careful you don't damage it. Once you have it in there, we can grab the other pieces and put the pump back together. We're going to reach in and grab the thermostat so we can put the O-ring on it. You want to make sure you clean this area up. If there's any residue on there, you want to make sure you get that clean so when you put it on, you don't have any problems leaking. Once you have the O-ring on, we can lift it up into place. Once you have it in place, we're going to use the extension with the socket. We're not going to use the ratchet. Just going to get the screw started. We can tighten it down with the ratchet later. Once you have both screws started, we're going to grab the ratchet and tighten them down. Once you have both screws tightened down, we can put the access panels back on. To put the access panels back on, I'm just going to set the lower one in place. And then we can put the upper one in. Once you have it in place, we can use the 1/4-inch nut driver to put all the screws in. Now that we have the access panels installed, we can open up the dishwasher door so we can put the pump together. Before you put the new seal and impellers in, you want to make sure that you clean the pump out so you get all that residue out of there. Once you're ready, you can put the seal in. You want to get this area of the pump wet so it's easier to slide down, and also we got the seal wet. So we're just going to put it over the shaft and slide it down. And then they gave you a little tool in the kit that we're just going to use to make sure that's seated all the way, evenly all the way around. Once you have it seated, we can put the drain impeller in. All you have to do is set it down carefully so it goes up against the seal. Once you have it in place, we can put the plate that goes over the top of it in. We're just going to set it in place. Then we can use the Torque 20 driver to put all the screws in. Next we can put the cutter back in. You just have to set it down onto the drain impeller. Once you have the cutter on, you can put the O-ring around the shaft. Once you have it in place, you can use a small flathead screwdriver to push it down against the drain impeller. Just be careful you don't damage it. Then we can put the pump plates back in. These have to line up over on this little oval opening in the pump. So we're going to set them down into place. Once you have that in place, we can put the wash impeller in. We're just going to set it down onto the shaft. There's flats on each side of the shaft in the impeller, so you have to line that up and set it down. Once you have the wash impeller in, we can put in the impeller screw. It already has Loctite on it. Make sure your O-ring is on there and it didn't fall off. We're going to use our 5/16 inch nut driver to tighten that down. As you tighten it down and it starts to spin the impeller, you have to reach in and hold it so you can tighten the screw down. Once you have it tightened down, you want to make sure it spins freely. You don't hear anything grinding or dragging in there. It should move freely. Then we can put the pump cover back on. All you have to do is line it up and drop it in place. We can put the screws in. Then we can tighten them down with the 5/16 inch nut driver. Next we can put in that inside filter. It just sits in this ring. Just need to push it down into place. Then we can put the spray arm support back on. And the X-arm. You want to make sure it's lined up so the flats allow it to sit down all the way. If you don't have the flats lined up, it won't go all the way down. Once you have that on, we can put the nut back on. Just going to tighten it down by hand. And we can use the needle nose pliers to carefully tighten it down. When you put this outside filter back on, you want to make sure that the split rings are in here sitting evenly so it doesn't interfere with the spray arm rotating. And you want to make sure that the splits are offset. Once you have it in there nice and even, we can set it down on top of the pump. When you put this in place, you want to make sure the two little nozzles line up with the openings in the back. It's located right down here behind this filter. If you don't have it lined up right, it won't sit down all the way and the screws won't go in. Once you have it in place and all the holes are lined up, you can drop the screws in and use the Torque 20 driver to tighten them down. Once you have all the screws tightened down, we can put the nozzle in. All you have to do is set it down in place. Then we can put the spray arm in, and just like the X arm, you have to make sure you line the flats up on the spray arm base and inside the spray arm so it sits down all the way. Once you have it in place, we can put the nut back on and tighten it down. Once you tighten the nut down, you want to give the spray arm a spin and make sure it spins freely. Once you have the pump all put back together, we can put the lower dish rack back in. To put the lower rack back in, you just have to set it on the door and push it all the way back into the dishwasher. Once you have it in, you can close the door, plug it back in, and take it for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.